What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 20 of the Boochcast reviews Darkside of the Ring. I'm excited to be back for another week. And ladies and gentlemen, I've got two kick-ass special guests joining me for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, back for the first time since the Montreal screw job, so you know it's been a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, the NXT correspondent, the one, the only, Mr. John Tumblin.
Vinny, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for having me back. And sorry it's been a while. It's still going to be a while. I'm making a special guest appearance here for this one. The wedding is coming up. I know you people in the audience probably don't care, but you know what? I got a wedding coming up, so a lot of crap going on. But you know what? I'm back, and let's talk some wrestling.
Absolutely. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to have this gentleman joining us as well. He's been a recurring character on the show, very good friend. The manager was up and down the East Coast, very funny stand-up comedian. Got an album, God knows when that'll ever come out. We got a cartoon, God knows when that's coming out. Although I have made some connections with the cartoon, but we're going to talk about that today. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Gator, Ricky Ross. And absolutely, yes. And of course, before we get into this, as you guys know, last week, Gator was supposed to join us. It was supposed to be me, him, and the broke soulless ginger Zach Scott. Unfortunately, it was just me and Zach talking about the ultra violence of Nick Gage. I'm sorry we had to put you all through that. Gator was not able to make it last week. I said due to personal issues, because at the time we didn't feel comfortable bringing up what happened. But before we jump into this episode, Gator, are you comfortable talking about it, or do you want to just get this started?
I mean, I don't care. I'll be honest with the folks. My grandfather, the Eliminator, he passed away, so we had to make sure we got the legend properly buried. So, not in the wrestling term.
No, not in the wrestling term. Not at all.
Let me clarify. Hold on, time out. He passed away, and we needed to make sure that the accommodations were taken care of.
Yes, you meant like the not like a wrestling burial, but like an actual burial.
No, we didn't shit stain him. We didn't.
No. Thank God. So our thoughts and prayers, Gator, go out to your family and R.I.P. to the Eliminator. Only Gator would take a family tragedy and make us laugh with it. That's why I love this guy.
No,
I love this guy.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to be. I said buried, and then of course everybody's like, "Well, Gator's in the business." Oh, the God, they buried the old man. Like, no, we're not gonna do that. Like, we didn't do it like that.
No. We meant actual. We didn't mean insider buried. We meant actual.
Dug a hole.
Yeah,
and then we AJ styled that bitch.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It was a boneyard. Okay,
this is getting too much.
God.
All right.
Okay, but no, in complete total seriousness, I'm making light of it because that's how I deal with this kind of thing.
Obviously, R.I.P. the Eliminator. I'm glad. I hope your family is doing well through all of this. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this week, the topic at hand is by far one of the craziest ones. We're here to talk about the Collision in Korea. That's right. Those who know, in 1995, a group of professional wrestlers from WCW and New Japan were deployed to communist-ruled North Korea to partake in one of the most bizarre diplomatic missions ever conceived. They had two big shows in North Korea. Pyongyang, I'm assuming that's the name of the city. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not trying to be offensive. I just don't know how the fuck to pronounce it. Over 300,000 locals gathered to witness a wrestling extravaganza orchestrated in the name of world peace, which in reality cast wrestlers as unwitting players in a high-risk act of political theater. I mean, and of course, Eric Bischoff said they were surrounded by a bunch of people that thought they were the devil. They were totally under control. You walk out of the room, they're there. You go in the lobby, they're there. And under the strict surveillance of North Korean authorities, they were living the wrestling life until they got to North Korea, where they didn't tolerate that shit. Wrestlers found themselves trapped in a surreal nightmare and helplessly and over their heads, leaving some fighting for their lives. Like, I mean, I can imagine how crazy it was going to North Korea then. Can you imagine going there in 1995?
I mean, even now, like going now, I mean, damn.
No, dude. Absolutely not. You couldn't pay me to go to North Korea. Well, okay, let me take that back. You could pay me, but I don't want to ever work again. Let you know what I mean? But like, no, dude, especially after, you know, like South Korea, I'm sure when they were traveling through, South Korea is probably cool as hell.
Yeah.
You know, you get to go to Seoul, you get to go to all those other like awesome places in South Korea, and then you cross that border and you don't even get to like pee without someone holding your man junk down there, or you know what I mean, like
Exactly.
like we're gonna hold that for you because we have no idea what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah,
So
no
yeah.
nothing on there. Yeah.
So Eric Bischoff and Antonio Inoki were kind of the brainchilds that put this together, because Eric Bischoff came to WCW as an announcer, and he says he's like a fly on the wall and saw things from a certain perspective that the current management didn't see, like financial abuse and some fraud and theft that he saw a lot. And he later became the vice president and instituted a lot of changes. And, you know, WCW was still seen as a regional promotion even in 94. And if it had any chance of competing against the powerhouse brand of WWE, Eric had to reach a wider global wrestling audience. So he started off by reestablishing the failed relationship with New Japan, because WCW had the old management under Jim Herd and a few others had engaged in shaky tactics and left the Japanese with a very bitter taste in their mouth in terms of doing business with Americans. So Eric managed to repair the relationship and brought in a lot of the top Japanese wrestlers over the United States, from Ultimo Dragon to the Great Muta to even WWE Hall of Famer Jushin Thunder Liger, who, John, as an NXT guy, you remember that kick-ass match he had with Tyler Breeze.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude.
Dude, they tore the house down.
Yeah, they did.
So they also sent a lot of top wrestlers over to Japan. They had Sting, Hogan, the Steiner brothers would go over there, and the partnership caused increased international exposure. So WWE gained a lot of momentum, but still lagged behind the WWE in terms of drawing power and staging mammoth events. That all changed when Eric was offered the chance to go to Korea. And he was approached by Antonio Inoki, who was the chairman of New Japan Pro Wrestling, about the possibility of bringing his WWE roster over to North Korea to compete in a peace festival.
Mr. Boudreaux, it had been a long, long time.
Yes.
Anybody had been to North Korea wrestling.
Yes, absolutely.
And people were high as a kite because they wanted to see wrestling.
Yeah. And of course, Inoki was like the Vince McMahon of New Japan. He was a personality, a great athlete, and, you know, very much a badass wrestler. And of course, the interesting thing was Scott Norton, I think, had the most compelling story of all of them.
Got fucked.
That's a big ass corn-fed dude, and he's sitting here like they're letting him go, you know, slap for slap, punch for punch with a equally rice-fed dude from Japan. He probably went home that night and he had himself a nice bowl with some other protein. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, that's a rice-fed Asian man right there. Nothing wrong with it.
Well, he went back to it. Well, he went back to the room, but he didn't have any cornbread. Instead, he got paid a visit. The thing is, he was on the phone with his wife. It's hard to, especially back then, it was hard to dial out of the country.
What was
like
the 90s? I mean,
exactly. Like, it's not like today where you can use WhatsApp and easily dial out of the country, or have a phone. You can still dial an American number on your phone no matter where you are. So he's trying to get a hold of his wife because they hadn't talked in days while they were out there. And anybody, if you know wrestling, if you have a wife or a girlfriend and you go days without talking to her, she automatically assumes you're fucking somebody. Scott's not doing any of that. He's trapped in Korea. So he finally gets his wife on the phone. They're arguing, and Scott Norton is like trying to calm his wife down, trying to figure out what's going on. At one point, he's just like, I'm stuck. He's like, I'm stuck in this country. You know, he's like, I'm trying to call home. These people are driving us nuts. And all of a sudden the phone cuts off. So now Scott thinks his wife hung up on him. So he throws the phone. He's angry. He's pissed off. He's cussing because he thinks his wife hung up on him. And all of a sudden, these military guys showed up at his door. And it turns out they bug tap all the phones.
Oh, yeah, duh. He should have assumed that shit immediately.
They intercept the call, and they take him into this interrogation room. They take Scott Norton out of his room, take him to an interrogation room, and this big guy walks in, sits him down, and says, "You can't badmouth North Korea." and basically tell him, no more phone calls. You badmouth North Korea. That's it. This is a superior country. And then send him back to his room.
Yeah, but you can't, Vinny, don't do the accent.
Don't do the accent. I agree.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
However, I would say he's lucky that they only had a conversation with him.
He's lucky they didn't get the cane.
No.
He's lucky a lot of things didn't happen, but either way, the fact they just had a conversation with him and then sent him back to his room. But then furthermore than that, Vinny, I mean, I've watched it. You sent me the link. How many dudes was it to take Scott Norton out of his room?
Like
that's a big boy.
There was a good 5 or 6, but they were military people, so they also had weapons. They had guns with them, so it wasn't like they picked him up. They had guns, like so. Scott Norton's a big guy, but he's not stronger than a bullet. So
true.
So Too Cold Scorpio, is also involved in this, and he was like one of the most famous flyers in the world. And Scorpio, to me, has the best Korea story out of all of them.
Agreed.
Because this dude gets in a fight with Road Warrior Hawk. Like, you know what kind of balls you have to be willing to punch Hawk in the face?
You know what balls you have to have just to even try that?
Exactly. And so, of course, at one point, Hawk was hanging out with Ric Flair. And apparently they're sitting on the bus, and Hawk decides to get on the bus with the guys. Flair's looking around, can't see him anywhere. So Hawk's like, I think Flair's looking for me. Maybe I ought to go down there. And on Scorpio, just being a dick, he goes, fuck that pussy. Let him ride by himself. And Hawk turns around and goes, what'd you say? He goes, I said, fuck that pussy. Let him ride by himself. Hawk calls him the N-word. Scorpio leaps out of the fucking seat and beats into a ball. I'm like tries to pull out his eye and shit.
Never call somebody a Niagara.
No, bad idea.
Don't call anybody a Niagara.
You never go that route. Never go that route. And it was crazy because then they talked about how at the time,
his ass.
Yeah, Hawk was dealing with like hepatitis or something, so he was on some kind of like medication. I think I remember them talking about that during the last ride of the Road Warriors.
Blood thinner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something that takes care of hepatitis C, and it was because Hawk was a lot weaker back at that time because of that. So that's why they're saying that's why Scorpio was able to beat the shit out of him. But regardless, everybody was given
weaker.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Everybody's giving Scorpio shit for telling this story. Why? And I want to get your guys' take on this. Like, ever since Scorpio's told this story on Darkside of the Ring, everybody's giving him shit because Hawk passed away. Now, look, I'm sad that Hawk passed away, I'm saying, if it happened and it's a true story, tell the story. It's like, just
look, man, just because, like, okay, I know it's personal to you, but like your grandfather passing away, how many people did he get into a fight with in his whole career, be it in the ring, out of the ring, regardless?
Wait a minute. That's the point. Then what kind of stories are they going to tell about me?
No, but I mean,
one day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the thing is, you got those guys that had that experience, whether it was good, bad, or other, with people like your grandfather. They're going to sit around a fire one day, or they're going to sit around a dinner table one day with a beer in their hand, and they're going to smile about that shit, regardless whether they got into a fight, like an actual fist fight with them, or it was in the ring. Doesn't matter, because that is a memory. Did he die then? No, he still had the rest of his career. Hawk had the rest of his career to wrestle, earn titles with his tag team partner. So the fact that a fight happened in Korea because he said a stupid thing.
He said a slur.
He said a stupid thing he shouldn't have said. Regardless, he got into a fist fight. It happened. It was a true story. They both lived. And they both had careers after that. The fact that he's getting hate of any kind for telling that story is asinine and stupid.
People are being pussies about this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that big a goddamn deal.
Exactly. I'm just saying that, he had that experience with Hawk. So if it's a true story, I say tell it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
good, bad, or indifferent. If you have a memory of somebody, then you have a memory of somebody. I mean, hell, I could tell you stories about certain guys in the business I don't care for.
yeah.
So I mean, it's all here they, see they. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, hell, imagine the stories they're gonna tell about me one day.
So what's crazy about this as well is that Antonio Inoki is the one putting this together. Yet one of the biggest issues people are having is the Japanese people and Koreans don't get along.
No,
Which I know people know that.
no, they don't.
There's one guy, Chono, who was afraid to go over there. And I remember Cornette told a story one time about a guy who was Korean, but wrestled in Japan as a Japanese wrestler. And for years, he fooled everybody that he was Korean. But one day, the mob found out and had him killed.
Yeah.
They literally had somebody killed when they found out he was. And this guy was a star. He was over. Everybody loved him. They cheered him. They thought he was a wrestling like god. Then they found out he was Korean, and the mob killed him. Like, that's how fucked up that was.
Not mob. Hold on, time out. The Yakuza.
The Yakuza, yeah. So and then you had Sonny Ono, who was the liaison officer between WCW and New Japan. And basically, he was told by the Japanese they could not guarantee his safety and that he shouldn't go. And that's because the Koreans thought the Japanese were so evil that when Sonny Ono got to Korea, the military pulls him aside and says, he can't do this, he can't do that, and oh, by the way, don't rape our women.
Wait, what?
Literally said that to Sonny Ono. And Sonny's like, what the fuck? Imagine how fucked up a mindset you got to have. That's like a rule you have to institute. Like, as if Sonny had any thoughts at all of doing that.
No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Like, that is like the weirdest shit. And then, of course, Eric Bischoff's now on a mission to convince all these wrestlers to come to Korea. Because originally, Hulk Hogan was supposed to face Inoki. But Eric Bischoff goes to Hogan and says, you know, they want to put him on the card. And Hogan's like, can't make that one, brother.
Work for me, brother.
Yeah, Hogan's like, nope, I am not going to Korea.
No.
So Bischoff goes to plan B, which was Ric Flair. And that's why we had Flair and Inoki in the main event. He was not as popular as Hulk Hogan nationwide, but he had a reputation about being able to put on a great match. But he was excited, but he was also upset that he was the second choice. Like, Flair didn't like the fact that Bischoff only went to him because Hogan said no.
Hey, whatever. He got TV time. Who cares?
Yeah.
Hey, Space Mountain, baby. Space Mountain.
Yeah.
Oldest ride, longest line.
Yeah. And of course, you know, Americans were not supposed to be in North Korea. And they had to actually get permission from the federal government. They said it would take 6 months to get a yes or no. So Eric literally said, fuck it, we're going. He went to Korea and didn't even tell Turner.
Wait, what?
They said the boss didn't even know he was doing it. Eric said, fuck it, we're going to Korea. I'm like, I'm watching this going, Bischoff, you've lost your mind. It's courtesy of the North Korean government. They were on a military transport, and the wrestlers hated it. Flair's complaining the whole trip. And they took their passports and anything they owned that resembled America.
Yeah, because here's the thing. In Korea, and I've seen another documentary that was telling me about how the Koreans are limited in almost all aspects of life. And when I tell you any thought of freedom, so America, Britain, any of that is eliminated.
Yeah, no, man. That's the only semblance. Like, that is in fact the most important legal document you need to get back into America. But let alone that, whether you just want to go to South Korea, you need that document. You now can't. Like, no, dude, bump that.
And keep in mind, again, this is 1995. There's no iPhones. There's no Androids. There's no Galaxy Notes. You can't go on Facebook and say, I'm trapped in North Korea. Save me. Hashtag I'm fucked. Like, you can't do any of that.
All the Zoomers who listen to the podcast don't know any of the things you just talked about, Vinny.
No, they don't.
They don't know anything about.
Imagine not having social media and you're just stuck. They get there and apparently the reason Japan and Korea have such bad issues is because at the beginning of the 20th century, Japan colonized North Korea. And they ruled North Korea until the end of World War II, which I think is kind of funny and ironic to me.
Wait a minute. Time out. Isn't that why they had the Korean War?
That could be part of it. But I'm just saying what I found interesting is this, that they owned it till the end of World War II. Part of the reason Japan lost power after World War II was because we dropped the atomic bomb. So why would Korea hate us? We kind of played a role in getting them away from Japan, didn't we?
Yeah.
Unless I missed something in history.
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, we kind of A-bombed their ass.
Yeah,
so.
I'm just saying if Japan lost power over something at the end of World War II, I'd like to think America had something to do with it. If my history serves me correctly.
Then why
I could be wrong.
Shit.
I mean, I don't know. John, you history buff? Do you know if what you have an explanation for that?
Are you speaking about World War II or the Korean War?
No, I'm saying like Japan colonized North Korea and ruled it till the end of World War II.
Yes, 1945. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying if Japan lost power over Korea at the end of World War II, wouldn't we have something to do with setting Korea free from Japan? Since we dropped the bomb and ended the war?
Yes, hypothetically, but that didn't matter because Korea then went through 10 more years of being divided, of North and South Korea. And then after that, we had the Korean War, which then was the absolute divide in the middle of the country into why the ideologies of these two countries are so different.
So it was a brutal colonial rule, and there's tremendous bad feelings towards the Japanese that persist to this day. So that's where all this hatred comes from, is ultimately from that. And this one I want to talk about here, because this was so weird to see. And I want to know if you guys thought this was weird too. Their first stop on the way to the hotel, they had to pay homage to the dear leader, Kim Il-sung, who had died a year before. So the North Korean government is handing them bouquets of flowers, and they are forced by the government, by the military, to walk up the steps and lay the flowers at the foot of the statue of the dear leader. And then the North Korean news media would film them because they wanted to look like they were so excited to be in North Korea and that they flew all the way here to pay homage to the dear leader. Is that not the most... What kind of mindfuck is that?
No, to me, that is completely fine. You're in their country, Vinny.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are in their country. In their country, you should do as they do, at least to not offend them.
Yeah.
So,
come on, offend? We ain't trying to die. That's
right. That's what I mean. Like, sure, if I get off a plane in Korea and you want me to take a bouquet of flowers and drop it off at somebody's like an honor and like somewhere, a place where you honor them, done, easy. I'll even smile for you. Take my picture, go for it. I would rather follow their customs and not have any harshness come down on me or the people I'm with. That's a super snap easy decision for me.
Yeah. So apparently North Korea tries to leverage celebrity visits for propaganda. So apparently, and what's funny is, out of all the people that are here, the wrestlers are the only ones that are uncomfortable. The one guy who's loving every second of this and having the time of his life is Muhammad Ali. He's the only one having fun. Like, probably. He's the only one like, I'm cool. I like it. I'm Muhammad Ali. And everybody else is like, we're all going to die. So they finally get to the hotel and had to carry their luggage up 7 floors. And these are big guys. They don't do stairs very well.
No.
Most of us don't. They don't do stairs very well.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Have you got a wrestler that does?
What an American thing to say. Get out of here, Vinny.
We don't do stairs well. Some of us have bad knees.
I understand that. Yeah. Move on. I'm kidding.
And like they said, the military guys followed them around. Scott Norton got to his room. They stopped about 10 feet from the hall. Norton opened his door, stepped inside his room, and the military was hanging out outside the room. They can't go nowhere. They try to watch TV and all they get is 3 government channels that are all political. So like, why even bother? So it was driving them nuts. Like, they were in North Korea, and you only get 3 channels, and all of them are about political government. Like,
everything's controlled, man.
like, I mean, I get that, but I'm like, you couldn't at least maybe have like a North Korean sitcom, like, you know, maybe some type of
North Korean
show.
porn.
You know what surprises me even more about this, Vinny?
What?
This surprises you.
See, that makes sense to me, because here's the thing. Like, yes, they're heavily censored on everything.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets to me is like, yeah, you would think maybe we got, but you know, that's one other thing they got to censor, so it makes sense not having it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I knew I knew North Korea was a controlling country. I just didn't know how much.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I knew Korea was a controlled country, but I'm just like, some of the things you hear, it's almost like you can't believe it. Like, it's not that trust me, I did not think North Korea was sunshine and rainbows. I knew it was a country. Okay. But I at least thought, okay, maybe there's some type of entertainment here. And it's like, no, like, wow.
There is. Wait a minute. There's always, because the wrestlers, hookers and blow. I'm just saying, everywhere you go, hookers and blow.
Well, I don't know, because it took them 2 hours just to get balls to play a game of pool, because it had to be cleared through the military guys.
True.
And then Norton scratches on a cue ball, and the military guys take everything away.
It'll teach you not to scratch, damn it.
Oh yeah, and apparently, Eric Bischoff, when he was there, he had this woman that was with him that was called an attaché, which is basically an escort that has to go with you everywhere you go. So one morning, Eric goes out for a jog by himself.
Wait a minute. When you say escort, let us be a little more specific.
Okay.
An actual escort.
I don't mean, I'm not talking about like love him long time. I'm talking,
Yes, thank you.
I'm talking about like follow you, go with you.
I know, but we have to be
a chaperone.
A chaperone. Let's say chaperone. So the attaché doesn't go with him. So Eric just like, I don't need a chaperone. I can go out and jog. And the one in the street gets terrified because they're told how evil Americans are. So Eric's just out there just jogging. And if you know Eric Bischoff, I mean, yeah, he's a martial artist, but he's not like a dangerous person. Like,
no, he's not Scott Norton walking around the street.
Like, Scott Norton would make people run in America if they don't know him. And then the attaché gets pissed off and Eric was afraid she was going to get executed for him going off on his own, which very well could have happened. I mean, at this point, I've seen there's so much fucked up shit going on in here. It wouldn't shock me if she did get executed because Eric went off on his own. And I think Eric didn't take that into account. I wouldn't have taken that into account because I wouldn't have thought of that. But
yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that either.
Yeah.
Because like you wake up every morning and you're like, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I'm going to go for a jog, whatever. Like, you don't think about it when you're home, or even honestly, in most places around the world, they're not going to look at you weird if you just go out of your house and go for a jog. You don't think that, like, holy crap, she could probably die because she let me go or because she didn't realize I went for a jog. And 2, I could actually die because I wanted to go run. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, how strong the propaganda is in that area, that they would be that scared of him. Like, that's control right there. When just an American just walking around can terrify you. That's like, and like I said before, obviously, again, I knew North Korea was a dictatorship and a crazy country, but it's like one of those things where you hear about it, but then when you actually get stories from people that go there, you see it in a different light. So that's really what it is for me. I'm just annoyed. I mean, I knew it was crazy. I just didn't know it was that crazy. You know, it's like that joke when it's like, you know, I used to think this guy was crazy. Now I can see his nut. Now I can see he's nuts. You know, like that kind of thing. You know, you thought he was crazy. Now you can clearly see it. Like once you've witnessed it, it's like, oh crap, I did not know this. Like that kind of thing. And then of course, they get ushered around for one last propaganda opportunity. They visit a sacred tomb honoring the founder of Korea's first kingdom. They're at a 5-year-old honey temple site that they got to go look at it. So Scorpio has no damn clue where he is. As they're walking, they notice Muhammad Ali is taking his jacket off. He rolls off his sleeves and starts jogging up the stairs. And they're following. When Ali got to this top, he started dancing and shadow boxing. So
you basically doing Rocky.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave the temple, and Scorpio tries to make peace with Hawk. Hawk swings at him and punches him in the face. Scorpio snaps back at him. He then hides 2 steel chopsticks in his pocket, like he's gonna shank him. And he goes outside his hotel on the windowsill and starts sharpening them. And Benoit's basically trying to talk him out of killing him, which in
Yep, I got you, Vinny.
Which in 2021 is an ironic thing to hear.
Wait a minute.
So they have the first night. There's 170,000 people in this building. And a lot of them were forced attendance.
I was going to ask you if you thought, when we first started, I was going to ask how many people, like, before you saw the episode, how many were forced to be there.
Yeah. It doesn't. It just says a lot of them were. It doesn't give an exact number.
I'm sure all of them almost.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing, though, is because of the fact that there was 170,000 people on this night, and there's a total of 300,000 for both nights. Here's the question: because one of the things they talk about is the fact that it rivaled WrestleMania, or that it's like they outsold. They sold out this big area, WCW, New Japan Alliance. If they're forced to be there,
did you really sell out?
Did you really sell it out?
Vinny, they put butts in seats. So you know what? Technically they sold it out.
They did.
Under penalty of death.
Even if you charged a penny to go in there, they sold out tickets.
A penalty of death?
Exactly. They might not have made a lot of money, but they sold every ticket.
Exactly. Making money is not the point of the statement. We sold it out. They sold it out.
And that's true, because
imagine if you weren't a wrestling fan, you were like, no, I'm not going to go. And then your buddy's looking over going, what happened to Steve?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Gator, you also know this because we work in the business. How many times have you seen promoters give comp tickets to people to have them sit in the crowd anyway?
It's a different situation. The whole damn event.
Exactly. But I'm just saying.
Is it different?
Yes. I'm just saying. I mean, there are people who buy tickets, but every now and then I've seen they give out comp tickets and stuff to try to get people to come out. I mean, they don't make a habit of it.
Right.
But in a way, there are some that get in there that way. So I just thought that was interesting that if it's forced attendance, is it really a sold out crowd? And John, you make a valid point. So Inoki saw this as a badge of honor. And then the pomp and circumstance was amazing in the beginning because they're basically doing all these ribbon dancers and this whole showmanship event, just to open the show. And then the crowd is quiet for most of the match because they've never seen this before.
Yeah, but they're like that in Japan too.
Well, but the rest were talking about how this was alien to them. They couldn't believe that they were quiet because they're trying to base it off the crowd.
Hold on, time out. That was the American wrestlers. In Japan, it's kind of a similar thing. They appreciate it, they clap. But I can kind of get where you're coming from because compared to the American way where we're just all into it.
Yeah.
But hooting and hollering, hooting and hollering.
Hijacking the show and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hijacking the show.
Oh, yeah.
Following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Now they got to say it fast.
I love it, dude. I hate the fact that on regular NXT, they do that quickly, but in UK NXT they still give them the chance to say one fall. I love that stuff. So the fact that they don't in Japan is weird.
Yeah. Well, and I always enjoyed it because I like when in some cases if the crowd is being cool, they play off of it. And I'll use this as an example because it's the best one I got. About a year or two ago, it was about 2 years ago. No, I think it was a year ago because COVID hadn't happened yet. Elvis and I went to the first AEW event in Georgia, and Chris Jericho had come out, and the crowd was singing Judas. We were singing Judas. And at the time, we were the loudest crowd to do it. So we're singing the song, and we're getting there, and you see like Moxley looking around, and I can't remember his AEW name, but it was Matanza Cueto was in there without a mask. Huh?
Jeff Cobb,
yeah. They're both in the ring, but Moxley looking around, and Aubrey was the referee, and they're looking around, and they hear everybody going, I become man. Judas in my mind. And as soon as we all stopped singing, immediately Aubrey rings the bell. But she waited for everyone to stop before she rang that bell because she timed it. And I was like, and Elvis and I were like, that was kind of cool.
Shout out to Chris Jericho. Please don't sue us.
he got more important things to do. Yeah.
Well, all we really did was talk about him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You did less than 15 seconds. You can't DMCA for that,
Yeah. And I didn't use the music. I just sang a cappella.
True.
You can't sue a cappella. Can't sue a cappella.
I mean, I'm sure you can. Let's just say you did less than 15 seconds. How
exactly. Now, apparently, so here they go through everything, and Inoki's match was dedicated to his fallen mentor, Ricky Dozan, who was a wrestling icon in Japan, who was Korean, and this is the guy that basically got himself killed by Japanese gangsters in the bar when he was Korean. So he dedicated the match to Ricky Dozan.
Yeah.
So Inoki was the only wrestler the crowd cheered for. He was the only one that got any cheers in the crowd. And Ric Flair did his part to get him over. Because obviously, I think, Flair did the job for Inoki out there. And then, of course, they have a farewell ceremonial dinner, which is Scorpio's last chance to settle the score with Hawk. But they managed to make peace in the elevator. And Scorpio said, if you ever want to finish this in Tokyo, we can. But it never happened. Mm-hmm. So that one's interesting. It's like, this dude's literally sharpening, is making a shank out of chopsticks. But was still ready to make peace. I thought that was interesting. And then the funniest part for me was when they get off the plane in Japan, Ric Flair kisses the pavement.
Oh yeah, dude, I would too. Get me the hell out of Korea. Let me just enjoy being back on at least sane and in a sane country.
Yeah. It's like they never went back. I don't think any of those wrestlers would ever go back there.
No. Absolutely not.
And that, of course, begs the question, especially with WWE going to Saudi Arabia more often. Do you think we'll ever see a wrestling event in North Korea again?
No. Bad idea.
I cannot say we will never, because that seems to me like we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. For all we know, in 2045, North Korea decides that they're tired of it and they just meld with South Korea and we just get a whole united Korea. You know what I mean? And then maybe, sure, North Korea might but current state of North Korea, no, there will never be another wrestling event there, at least televised.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would be intrigued to see if they did do it again, who would be crazy enough to go?
Tony
Khan.
Because I don't know if anybody currently would go.
Tony Khan.
Would you have to do it the same way where you pair it with New Japan? Or
Probably.
Would you do it like they do in Saudi Arabia where it's just a regular WWE show?
I don't know. I think
you would not have to pair it with Japan, not Tony Khan at least.
Yeah.
Because hang on. Let me rephrase that. He has he's got Japanese talent on his roster.
Mm-hmm.
But he has that through Japan. So yeah, maybe he made
Tony Khan. He would have to. I think WWE, if WWE was going to do it, I think they would find a way to do it themselves.
They're stupid enough to go to Korea.
Yeah. So of course the event failed to energize Inoki's political ambitions, which is part of the reason he was trying to do this apparently. And he loses his re-election bid and left politics behind for almost 2 decades. And while this fusion of stage combat and international politics seems like an unlikely pairing, it revealed a fascinating parallel between wrestling and North Korea, as they are both masters of blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. And I thought...
Hold on, time out. Whoa. There is nothing similar between wrestling and North Korea.
No, I think Jericho made a valid point there. They said they blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Is that not what wrestling does?
Well, to a point. Well, back then, yes. Now, no.
Okay, I see that. But I'm saying that the whole purpose of wrestling is to make you believe in the match you're seeing, that the two guys really hate each other.
Escape your reality for a minute.
Exactly.
For a couple hours a night. Yeah, just escape reality.
So,
back then, yes, today, no.
Yeah, and they're basically showing you in this thing that North Korea is kind of the same way, because they're forcing these people, or these wrestlers in this case, to go pay homage to the dear leader, to go to these events, to say all these things on TV. And because you're hearing them say it, you think it's their actual thoughts and opinions because they're on CNN.
Vinny, we all know wrestling is a work. The entire political system of North Korea is a work.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean is, like, everything they're like shown is all pre-made. They don't really, like, especially in the 90s, like you were talking about, it was 3 channels of politicalness. Tell you every single person in the country didn't get a choice of, hey, we have a choice of these 3, probably the very similar political recordings.
Yeah. And not only
predetermined, all of it.
Yes, it's very true. And I agree. But the thing is that, like, in wrestling, they were very good at making you believe in what you're seeing, because there's a lot of people, like, even though there's guys like us who are analysts and in the business that know the inner workings. We know what's going on.
Sure.
There were still people who would watch and they believe in what they're seeing. That's why you still see people jump the guardrail at shows, or people saying all these things on social media where they bash the guy, or people in the audience getting offended and tweeting that, I can't believe this guy yelled at a kid in the front row. I'm like, he's a heel. That's what they're trying to do, though, in wrestling, is blur the lines and make you believe in what you're saying. And there are some people who fall for it. It's the same thing in Korea. There might be a lot of people in North Korea that are watching this going, this is bullshit, but they're not going to say anything because they don't want to die. But at the same time, Eric Bischoff went jogging and people were terrified to see him. So obviously the manipulation over there is working.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why, the way they do blur the lines between fantasy and reality, because, like, there are going to be people who watched Ric Flair and all these other guys talk about the dear leader and go, wow, they really enjoy being in Korea. Meanwhile, the rest of us sitting here going, wow, they are uncomfortable as fuck over there, if you can read that. But the rest, some people are actually going, wow, they really love North Korea. No, it's interesting. Because all you see with North Korea is the wrestling and the matches and Eric Bischoff doing the commentary, which we found out later they did the comment. They pre-did the commentary, but that was pre-recorded. And mixed in with the wrestling. But then to see the behind the scenes and just how crazy it really was over there, that it gives you an even bigger perspective of something about North Korea that you already knew.
I mean, it was kind of the whole thing was a crazy experience. I'm glad they did it, because it truly was like an historic thing. Nobody should do it again, but I'm glad they did do it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great show. Gator, what'd you think?
They're lucky to be alive. They're lucky to have made it out with the stories that they made it out with.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, man. Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude the Boochcast reviews, Darkside of the Ring of Collision in Korea. And of course, we will be doing a podcast audio version of the actual Collision in Korea pay-per-view. Today, we just wanted to talk about the experiences. So the best part is I got a special gift for all the listeners out there. All the links that are going to be in the description box of this video that go to Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, the 4 main sites that we're on. Instead of giving you a link to the Boochcast page, you will be given a link to the audio version of the podcast. So you can go straight over there and hear our thoughts on the actual pay-per-view itself. We touched on it a little bit during this, but I didn't want to go full into it because I didn't want to step over the audio. So we will be doing an audio version of this as well. That'll be available in the link description box below. And of course, John, like I said, I know you've been out there planning a wedding, man. You've been on your sabbatical, but I do thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for Darkside of the Ring. And I know you're going to be joining us soon for the audio version. And I think I can speak for everyone listening to the show and everybody involved when I say we can't wait for you to come back.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's good to be back. It'll be far and few between, at least until after the wedding. But it was good to be back, and thanks for the conversation, boys.
Absolutely. And Gator, as always, I thank you for taking time out to join us as well. And
of course, I'm here. I have to bring the wrestling knowledge, the knowledge that the people don't see. I do it for the people, for the people.
Make sure you tune in next week for the next episode of Darkside of the Ring. It'll be myself, Elvis, and Desmond, and we've got the Ultimate Warrior is going to be next week's episode.
Fuck that bitch.
We are diving into the story of the Ultimate Warrior.
No, racist, cocks.
Everything, pretty much everything Gator's mumbling right now. Elvis, Desmond, and I'll be getting into that next week. So,
that roid raging.
Thank you. So anyway,
thank you, Gator.
Roid raging motherfucking racist. Oh look, I'm Jesus. I'm with Jesus. Oh,
Vinny, it's been a great recording.
Absolutely. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you'll never miss another episode of Boochcast Reviews, Darkside of the Ring, as well as all the other great YouTube content we have up here. Also, make sure you guys follow us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts. Links are down in the description box below. Take you directly to the audio Collision in Korea version that we're going to be talking about, the podcast version. Also, make sure you guys are liking us on Facebook. You guys are following us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Twitch. We're going to be doing, that's what we do, the live watch parties, the D&D show coming soon. Make sure you check everything out there. And to support the show, go to anchor.fm/theboochcast/support to support the Boochcast, give a donation to sustain future episodes, and to feed Zach ramen noodles. So you can go to that link, check it out over there. Make sure you guys support the show. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, pizza baby.
Bitches.